Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Okay, we're back at it, y'all. Now look here. Carl is out on bond. Fee's got a little baby girl named Tammy. Brenda, the mother, she's struggling to just keep it together, right? Now, this is Carl's first time being arrested, locked up, or anything like that, right? So he doesn't really get the full gravity of how serious this is, right? Because he could actually end up in the penitentiary. His options are probation or lockup. Simple as that. He doesn't want either one, but there's no way of getting out of that because they got him on a controlled buy. They had somebody wearing a wire. They videotaped the situation. They got the mark money. It's over with as far as that goes, right? So he has to figure a way to maneuver around this thing while the lawyer is trying to charge him all kinds of money every time they go to court. And they're going to court for nothing. They go to court for pretrial motions, this and that. And a lot of y'all that don't understand what pretrial motions are. Pretrial motions are basically the foundation that's going to be used to fight the case. The information that's going to be allowed in or out, determined by the judge, is what's going to be used at the trial. So Carl doesn't understand why this lawyer keeps going back and forth. Why don't you get all the stuff together at one time? That's what he's thinking. And then present this to the judge, and then we'll wait until the trial date or the plea date, whatever comes up. But the lawyer understands the game, so he keeps doing this stuff individually. And every time they go to court, it costs Carl money. That's the game, y'all. That's how they get the bread out of it. But again, it's the price you pay. Now, Fee, she's got a beautiful daughter named Tammy. But the dude that she had this baby with, he's like a lot of them. After the baby comes, the glow wears off. You know what I'm saying? And now she doesn't look as pretty as she was, and it's not exciting as it was, and all this sneaking around and having sex when nobody's around. See, that's over with. Now it's a baby here. But see, the reality is he don't want the responsibility of it. Yeah, he's in the streets too now. He has a job, but he's in the streets too now. This neighborhood pulls you like that. And like I say, Miss Brenda, she's still working, but she's missing her husband. She hasn't been with a man in a long time. She's got a granddaughter. She loves her. She spends her time playing with her. But she's looking at her family and seeing that it's not the way that her and Skip, her husband, has died. It's not the way they envision things to be. And this is typical across the spectrum when it comes to family. So what do you do? Carl keeps doing what he's doing. He's in the streets. He's getting his money. He's meeting people, you know what I'm saying, trying to make sure that he's laying the foundation. But he runs into this one guy. This one guy is a seasoned vet of the streets. And he tells him, he said, look here. You got to be making plans for when you're not here and how you're going to keep things going. You got to be making plans just in case you go to prison. Because if you go to prison, everything that you're doing stops. All the financial help that you're giving to your family stops. Remember that, people. If you have somebody out there that's in the streets and doing all the things that they're doing, when they get locked up, when things go south, it is over with as far as the money is concerned. And then that's when the stress level goes up. So Carl is asking him to explain what he's talking about. Because this dude is a seasoned vet of the streets, but just because a person says that they're a seasoned vet of the street, don't mean that they're going to give you the right advice. He's giving Carl the advice that he's used his whole life. But guess what? A lot of these people are still on the same level that they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. On the same corner, doing the same thing, making the same amount of money, but they call themselves vets. That's what we got to deal with, y'all. That's what we got to deal with. So he's telling Carl all of these different things. Make sure you got your plug locked down. Make sure you got somebody to take over for you when you're gone. Make sure you got enough dope put up that when you do get out, in case your plug is locked up, that you can pick up where you left off. These are all things that are essential to the criminal work. But Carl, he's listening, But he don't necessarily want that. What this conversation does, it makes Carl for the first time look at the prospect of not doing this anymore. He don't want to do this. He said this is too much because he's looking at his little he's looking at his little niece, and he's seeing his niece, and he don't want his niece to grow up around all of this. He don't want to see his niece growing up around all this. So him and Fee, they sit out and they have a conversation. And he tells Fee, look, I might be going to the penitentiary. I might end up with probation. We'll see. But what we have to do, we got to make sure that Tammy and Mama are straight. That's Miss Brenda. And Fee understands exactly what he's saying, but she tells him, she said, look, now Fee has the qualities of a college person. And she wants to still go to college, but she's got to get things in order first, right? But she tells him, she said, look, the amount of money that you're bringing in now is not going to put us where we need to be when we want to walk away from this. They have a real grown-up conversation. You understand? Now, keep in mind, both of them are just in their early 20s. They're not that old. They don't have that kind of knowledge to pull from, but they talk like they do. So Fee tells them, look, we got to make way more money than what we're making now, whether you go to jail or not. So he tells us, just no way. The area that I'm in is too much competition to be able to lock it all down and make that kind of money so we can walk away from the game. So she tells me, she said, well, let's get rid of the competition. And he says to her, how? How are we going to get rid of the competition? And she said, let's keep it 100. People tell all the time. But in this situation, we need to tell for a reason, tell for a purpose. She said, right now, you can go to the DA and give up all of them, get a deal, stay out. You understand what I'm saying? And then you could sew it up and we could walk away from this thing. Walk away from it. So he sits there and they sit back and forth and they talk and they keep on thinking about what it is that they could do to make something like this happen. So he tells her, he said, look, I'm going to talk to my lawyer because I'm really not feeling what you're saying. I don't really want to go down that road. She said, well, the only other option for us is to double up and move outside of the area. You know what I'm saying? Where you're selling. See, Fee talks like she's been in the game longer than Carl. You feel me? And she's giving him the breakdown because she's looking at it from a purely financial point of view. She don't care nothing about all the rest of the stuff. It's about getting money. So she talks to him about how much he can get, what the price is, all of that kind of stuff, right? So that they can get this stuff off. And then he tells her he really don't even have that type of plug. But see, what Fee wasn't really telling him is that she's been talking to somebody. She got this guy that she's been seeing on the side when she's not with her daughter's daddy from time to time, that's been giving her the game, you know, just out of conversation. You know, she listens. She's a good listener. And she tells Carl, look, why don't we do business with him? You know, she threw that we in there because she's putting herself in it. Why don't we do business with him? His family's got that work. His family's got that work. So he said, make the meat. So she makes the meat. And they sit down and they talk. And when they sit down and talk, this guy's name is Kenny. And when they sit down and talk, Kenny's breaking everything down to him. Kenny's a little older than them, but not that much. It's his family that's got that work. They've been in the game for a while. So he tells them, he said, look, I can get you them things, them bricks, y'all. But all you have to do is guarantee that you can get rid of them. He said, you got to find your own area and all of these types of things. And then Fee jumps in. She tells him, she said, look, we're not staying in this. We got to get to a certain amount of money, then we're done. We're walking away. We're getting out of it. He says, cool, you stop when you want to stop. You feel what I'm saying? He said, we don't get out like that. You want in, you want this, you got to pay what it is, you do what you want to do with it, and you walk away when you want to walk away. This is not the cartel. So Carl is listening. He likes it. But keep in mind, Carl is on bond and the police are watching. So he tells Kenny, he said, man, I just got arrested. So I got to be careful. So Kenny tells him at that time, he said, look, this is what we'll do. We'll go through Fee. And you stay over there doing what you could doing, but you're going to have another pipeline coming from this way. Now she's saying, okay, I'm in, I'm with it. Everything is locking in, it's forming. And she's going to be a major part of this operation to make sure that from Kenny to her, from her to Carl. And then they're going to rock this thing. They're going to rock this thing. So now Carl goes to his lawyer. He tells his lawyer, keep putting it off as long as you can. And then if it comes down to it, get me probation. Just keep me on the streets. He has to stay on the streets to make this work. And he has to be careful. So now his lawyer has something to shoot for. His lawyer's going back and forth with the DA. He's charging Carl every time he does, but his lawyer's going back to the DA, and he's trying to hammer out a deal. Carl has never been in any trouble, but the DA wants something for this deal. He wants something. He wants some information. It'll be confidential. Nobody will ever know, but he wants some information. But Carl said he'll do it as long as he can guarantee that he doesn't have to ever testify to this information. And see, they do deals like that, y'all. See, this information is going to be the type of information that can be used to put a puzzle together, fill in some blanks that the DA and them doesn't know about. And then they have to take that and then they go do what they do, you know? See, a lot of people don't realize that either. But that's another way that people do a lot of telling. And information never becomes public. They never end up having to testify to it. This is just like putting a puzzle together. Who does this and where are they from? And they ask all these questions about information that they may already have. They're cooperating in that way. So Carl goes back to Fee and he tells her the situation with the DA and the lawyer and all this and that. And she says, look, I'm going to tell you something about Fee. She has no problem with any of it. She's thinking about her family first. She don't care nothing about none of that other stuff. What people think in the streets and all that. She don't care nothing about none of that. Get your money, get out of the way. That's how she's getting down. So she tells him, do it. Tell them whatever they want to know as long as you stay out until we can get what we need to get. And then we're done. We're walking away from everything. We're going to walk away from everything. Now, look, do you remember when I told you that Carl kept all of his stuff at the house? Remember that, because that's going to be key later on, right? Because all of this stuff has got to be put somewhere, and they have not figured out that they need to have this stuff somewhere else. But it is what it is. A lot of people do it. They claim that they don't, but they do, because people in the game have trust issues. And when you're dealing with this kind of stuff and that's your livelihood, would you really trust having it somewhere else? Most people wouldn't. And if they did, they'd have cameras everywhere and they'd be paranoid. Excuse me. So at the end of the day, this stuff is being stored at the house. It's in a locked area. Tammy can't get to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's secure, but it's risky. So Miss Brenda, she's seeing that the moves that are being made now by Fee, Kenny, and Carl is something off here, because Fee's spending more time away from home, moving packages around, talking to her brother when she didn't used to do that. So Miss Brenda pulls her to the side and she said, what is going on? And Fee tells her bluntly, we're trying to get out of this. We're trying to get enough money so we can move on and get away from this lifestyle. Miss Brenda tells her, you need to leave this kind of stuff alone. You need to leave this stuff alone. You need to be focused on your daughter. And she said, that's what I'm doing. I am focused on my daughter. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of times people don't take into account people's situations when they get involved in these issues like this. And Fee, she's playing the cards that she's dealt. And she's looking at it like, right now, I got to do what I got to do. And I'll walk away from this another time. But that ain't how it works either. You're going to find it out later. So long story short on the issue is now Carl is making moves. He's talking to the DA. He's making moves with Kenny through Fee. And everything is working out. But he needs a little help. So he has to add somebody to this mix, right? He has to add somebody to the mix. Fee decides to get her baby daddy added to the mix, right? Because she's planning on the fall. When the fall comes, somebody has to take the lick. And she wants it to be him. This is her child's daddy. She don't really care nothing about him at this point. Nothing. So if and when the fall comes, he'll be the guy to take the lick. This is understood by Kenny, Fee, and Carl. Plotting, planning, strategizing. The game is like this, y'all. The people that are involved in the game that are really moving and shaking, they plan for this stuff. all of this just go buy a pack, sell some dope, and you good, you in the dope game. You're not a mover and a shaker if you're doing that. These people are putting themselves on a level to be movers and shakers in the game. And during the 90s, the game was raw, y'all. I'm telling you. It was raw. Plenty money. Plenty money. I'm talking about millions. Millions. So now the money's coming in. And when you have this kind of money coming in and you got this kind of product coming in, you have no choice but to expand because you outgrow the area that you're in. So Carl is starting to outgrow the area. Now he's dealing with, his niece's baby daddy. So he tells him, look, stretch out, span out. So he's got him going to other areas of the city. Excuse me. He's got him going to other areas of the city, taking care of the business, right? And now he's making so much money and he's bringing so much money back. He's going to these small towns on the outside of the city, right? And he's bringing all this money. He's bringing duffel bags full of money back. He'll go down there, stay the weekend, come back. And he hits a different little area like that, and then he'll come back. He don't go to the same city twice in the same week. He comes 1 week here, 1 week here, 1 week here, 1 week here. And every time he's coming back with duffel bags full of money. But what he don't know is that he's making himself known in all of these areas. And he's moving around. He thinks about moving around that he's not going to be known or found out by the police. But that's just not how it works either. Because the people that live in those areas, they'll talk about the guys that's coming from out of town before they tell on the guys that they grew up with and live with. See what I'm saying? This is the mix that you deal with. But he's making all of this money and they're putting it up. Fees counting everything. They got the money put up. Now she does realize one thing. She can't keep all this money in the house. So she moves that to a secure location, right? Get a U-Haul, a little area like that, and she locks the money down. Don't nobody know where it's at but her. Carl don't even know. Carl don't even know where the money's at. She's not telling nobody. She's not telling Kenny. She's not telling nobody where that money's at. She got it locked away. Because if it goes south, she wants to be the only one that knows where the money's at. You see? So everything's keeping moving. Everything is moving fine for her. Now, here's another issue. The whole time that Carl has been out, they've been watching. And they see the moves, but they just can't put it together. Even though he's talking to the DA about everybody else, they can't seem to nail down what he's doing because they don't notice or they don't suspect his sister. They see his sister, you know what I'm saying? She got this daughter, his young daughter. They don't see his sister as being part of his operation because she's separate from him. When they come home, see, they live in the same house, so they don't see what's going on the inside of the house. They don't have the house wired up. So they don't see Carl and Fee. They don't see the conversations because they don't have to talk on the phone. They talk face to face. And then when Kenny comes around, he comes from another place. They don't know Kenny. They don't know Kenny to be involved in any drugs. So they're just looking at him as her boyfriend or somebody that she's seeing. And they don't have to talk on the phone. And listen to me, when you in the game and you don't have to talk on the phone, it's hard for the police to be able to find out what you're talking about. And they know that. So all of their conversations take place face-to-face and in person. Face-to-face and in person. So nobody's really knowing what they're doing. They're smooth like that. Yeah, they're smooth like that. And they keep this thing going. But, like in all things, especially when you're dealing with the streets, drama is going to play its way in. And drama finds its way into this too. The lifestyle is dramatic enough, but the drama that's coming in is simply this. When they get ready to do a deal and sign somebody for probation, right? You get assigned a probation officer, okay? And when you get assigned that probation officer, they do what? Home visits. They do home visits, and you have to agree to what they're going to come home to your house, and they're going to search your house like you're in a prison. They're going to search the house to make sure there are no weapons and drugs and all this and that. You're going to have to take piss tests and pass them and all of these kinds of things, right? Carl signs off on it, but he's not understanding that these probation officers, they take this serious. When they come by, they want to search. They said they want to search everything. And they're not playing about any of that. They're not playing about any of that. They are dead serious about that. And when they usually come, they usually have an officer with them. Or sometimes they have arrest authority. You know what I'm saying? They got that stuff going on now. But back in the day, they would usually have, if they suspect something, they would have an officer with them. So he agrees to this probation, and the probation officer comes by, and they want to do a home inspection. And when they do a home inspection, they don't just go in the room that you're in. You feel me? Because you agree to this, and the people that you live with agree and understand that this is part of the deal. If he's going to stay out, we have to be able to search the house to make sure that nothing nefarious is going on. So the probation officer comes there, and they're searching the house. They're going through every room, and everything is fine except for this one room. In this one room, this probation officer, she's getting on her hands and knees. She's looking everywhere, and she sees a safe. She doesn't really have the right to go into that safe. But it's something about that safe that makes her curious. Something about that safe that makes her curious. Now keep in mind, at this time, that when she comes by there, when she drives by, she's not supposed to search the house unless Carl is there. Remember that part. So when she comes by, Carl is there. So she's searching, but she finds it safe. She can't go in it, so she leaves, but she writes it down, safe, in the house. And she's curious about it. She's curious about it because she asked Carl about going in the safe, and he said he doesn't know the combination. It's his mama's safe. But these are not the type of people that you would suspect that would need a safe. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? And Carl is not smart enough to realize once that probation officer saw that safe, you need to move that safe. You need to get that up out of here. Because what he's got in that safe is dope. So why in the world would you leave that in there? He's not the smartest person in the bunch. So when the officer sees this, he keeps a mental note. Then when he goes back, he's talking to his fellow police officers in Narco because they know that Carl is still out there. And he tells them that I saw a safe there. So they take that under advisement and they keep it under their hat for a while, and they keep on following Carl, this and that. So one day, they decide they want to find out what's in that safe. So now they're watching. They're watching. They're surveilling the house and they're watching. But they can't see into the room that has the safe. They can't see into the room that has the safe. So when Carl comes down one time, he has to talk to the probation officer. The probation officer asks him, said, what do you need a safe for? He doesn't understand how and why they are able to get so involved in your life. You signed your life over saying that you agreed to all of the terms and they can search any room, any part of the house at any time they want to for any reason. So the probation officer said, we're going to go by the house and we're going to look into this safe. Now, they got an officer with them. They all escort Carl to the house. And they asked him to open the safe. He said he doesn't know the combination to the safe. And they said, who knows the combination to the safe? He said, my mom's, it's hers. He's lying, of course. She happens to be there. She comes into the room. She says, I don't know the combination to the safe. Now, keep in mind, the house is in her name. Everything that's in that house belongs to her, right? And it's going to be important in a minute. You'll catch on to what I'm saying. So Carl goes back and forth with them, arguing about he doesn't know the combination. So they said, okay, we're going to get a warrant. If you don't open the safe, we're going to get a warrant, and then it's going to get ugly. And if something goes wrong, we're going to violate you. We're going to take you straight to jail. But if you open this safe now, we can work out whatever's going on, okay? He knows what's in the safe, but he's so scared and so silly, he opens the safe. Instead of making them go get a warrant, he opens the safe, and they see drugs in the safe. They see drugs in the safe. Quite a few ounces of drugs, for that matter. He had been selling it, so he hadn't put his recop stash in there yet. But they get him, and they arrest him. They take him to jail. And they also arrest his mother. She's panicking. Fee just happens to be coming home, her and Tammy, and she's like, what is going on? And they tell her that they're taking the mother to jail because it's her house, and everything in the house is hers. Plus, Carl is the one that's on probation, and by drugs being in the house, he's in violation of the conditions of his probation. So he goes to jail and the mother goes to jail. Fee quickly makes the mother's bail, gets her out, gets her a lawyer. They got quite a bit of money put up now. They could walk away if they wanted to at this point. Now, Carl, on the other hand, he's still in jail because they won't let him make bond on probation. Now, the police are at him. What is going on? You better tell us everything. They're at him now because his probation deal was for 8 years. And if he don't find a way to get back reinstated on probation, he's got to go to prison. So now he's calling home. He's talking to Fee. He's telling Fee to come visit him. Fee comes down there and visits him. She tells him, she said, look, we got to figure out what we're going to do. She goes to see the lawyer. The lawyer tells her there's really not much that he can do unless Carl decides to cooperate in some kind of way and give up a bigger fish. Now she's thinking about her baby daddy. What if they put it all off on him? What if they put it all off on him? Because here's the thing. Fee had planned on the day when things were going to fall. And somebody was going to have to take this lick. And she said it might as well be him because she wanted him totally out of her life anyway. But he doesn't have any clue. He's still thinking that everything's straight to the extent that, you know, they're doing business together and all this stuff because he's bringing in boatloads. He's bringing in boatloads. But he doesn't understand what's going on, so he's not suspicious of anything. He's not even concerned or thinking that they're going to put it all off on him. That's not even coming into his mind. You feel me? At all. He's not considering that at all. But look here. I'm going to let you know what happens on that in this next episode. You feel me? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.